So we've got a course preview of our second event, which is going to be the Magnolia at Grand Bear. So we're taking a look at the Grand Bear Golf Course. Most of us have already played this. We're going to be playing from the brown tees, which is a total yardage of 6,221. So let's take a look at our front nine. So our front nine, we've got a little dog leg left. And so if we're going to tee off, if you're going to use your driver, well, driver, we're looking at 215 yards, leaving you about 131 yards into the green. For our longer hitters, if we stretch that out to about 235, that's going to leave you 110 yards in. You can see the left-right dispersion, fairly wide fairway. If you are brave enough to cut it over the sand trap there on the left, putting it about a 230, we'll say 231, that's going to leave you right at 110 yards into the green. So if we, for the long hitter, we'll say about 220. That's going to leave, or 221 is going to leave us 121 in. So we put our pin there. And now we're looking at our approach shot with 113 yards in. Probably our dispersion is going to be a little tighter than that. So the center of the green is 121 yards. And that puts us right at the center. A new feature we have this go around is going to be a look at our greens, maybe. There we go. So we can see the way this thing works is you've got your color monitor or your color chart down at the bottom. The more reddish colors, that shows a steeper slope. So these blue areas, these light and dark blue areas where it's 0 through 2, those are going to be more like collection areas. So, for example, if you put it behind this bluish area here to the left, good chance it's going to roll down into this collection area. So you can also see, and I'll zoom in a little bit, we can see these arrows, which is which way the slope is going to go. So depending on the pin placement, this is, for the most part, pretty consistent right to left slope. Really, you say the top right down to the lower left is going to be the slope on this green, depending on where the pin placement is. Then our next hole is hole number 2, par 5, 489 yards. So again, looking at our drive at about 215 yards, 214 yards. Driver is going to be the one that we're going to pull here. If we're the longer hitters are going to hit, say, 235. That's leaving us, somewhere between 250, 260 into the green. So we put our pin there. Then we're going to have our second shot, probably looking at, if we drop our dispersion down to what would be probably a 3-wood, depending on your distance for a 3-wood, let's say 200 yards is going to leave you 68 yards in. You go a little further to 210, we've got 60 yards in, and pretty wide dispersion here. So with the exception of the bunker over here on the right, you're in pretty good shape. So let's say we hit it, let's go with about 200 yards, leaving us 68 in. Now we're looking at our approach. Probably going to be a pretty, fairly tight dispersion on the approach shot with only 68 yards in. You do have this big, long bunker over on the right side of the green, and then this smaller bunker on the left side of the green. So roughly, again, about the center of the green is going to be about 68 yards. Taking a look at our green map, Again, we've got pretty consistent dispersion that's going to be going from right to left. The top section, or the back of the green, is a 4 or 5 there as far as the slope, and most of this green is going to be this bluish collection area that's going to funnel down, more likely than not going to funnel down over here to about the middle left of the green. So depending on pin placement, you can kind of get an idea of what we're doing there. So our third hole, par three, 176 yards. So again, we'll look at an approach, 176. For those of us who have played, this is the one where we've got this just massive, um, no man's land that you're going to have to, if you're going for the green, you're going to have to clear the massive no man's land. And then, of course, you've got the bunkers over here as well. So you're looking at roughly 180, 182 yards to the center of the green. If you're brave enough to take that, um, probably looking at more along the lines of something like this. I'm looking at a 4 hybrid to get there, which gives me a pretty wide dispersion considering this is a par three. Um, a safer play would be a shorter shot, 160, 170 yards in. That probably is going to take the bunker out of play. Again, you've got the no man's land here. But in recent times where we've played this hole, the 160, 170 yard shot is pretty safe. This is, short rough over here, and then you can chip onto the green and usually to be okay. Green map here again. The slope of this green pretty high on the left, and it's going to slope down to the right side of the green, going into the bunker and the no man's land. Collection areas there about the middle of the green, and of course, then the far back right of the green is going to be more of a collection area, with a fairly steep slope here on the front left of the green. Hole number four, par four, 334 yards. Again, for those who have played this, you again have this kind of, very, very thick rough here. Good chance you're losing a golf ball if you hit it in here, but it's an easy clear, 130 yards to clear that. Then we have the bunker over here on the right that's starting at about 174 yards. And if you can get 199 yards, you clear that. And then again, we've got some more of the rough as we get closer um, to the green. So if we go back to our 215, 216 there, pretty wide dispersion. So driver should be in play. That's going to leave you about 122 yards. If you're a further hitter or longer hitter, you're going to hit 235. Again, pretty good dispersion. Got a few trees over here on the left, but that puts you at 235 with 103 yards left into the green. So we're looking at our approach shot at 100 yards. Um, Pretty decent dispersion. Should take, depending on where the pin placement is, you can put it in the middle of the green at about 99 yards. Going to take the bunkers out of play with a decent hit. You do have this pretty deep, if I remember correctly, pot bunker on the front of the green. You've got another little small bunker on the back of the green, and then you've got this larger bunker over here on the right. But 100 yards, give or take, should put you square in the middle of the green, depending on where the pin placement is. Taking a look at the green now. Um, you've got this one's got a little bit more movement to it. So if you starting at the left side, going left to right, the left side, I would say the left, third of the green is going to run off kind of to the lower left. Um, in that direction. We've got some collection areas that we can see here in blue, but for the most part, a fairly flat part of the green, except for the very front here, which would quickly roll off into the bunker depending on where you hit it. Then we get into the more of the center of the green. Again, we got the little blue collection area there in the kind of the middle of the green before it gets into that really steep 3.3 into the sixes um, right there at the front of the green. We've got 1.9 sloping to the lower part of the kind of that little knob that's coming out here in the green, and then it changes directions a little. Well, actually, there at the middle of the collection area, this changes directions where instead of going from right to left, we're now going from the back to the front of the green. Some of this at a fairly decent pace. So, I mean, you've got this bunker, the bunker over on the right side of the green, pretty steep slope going. We've got a 3.7, 6.3, 6.8 there in kind of the front of the green on the right side here. If you're going to go, if the pin is on that side of the green, you're probably going to want to go low and or going to go, excuse me, long and hit this the back of the green if you can. So then our next shot, our next hole is going to be hole number 5, par 5. If we remember, for those who've played, and Ben, I know you haven't, but there is again this just area of just complete garbage that you're not going to be. I mean, you're not going to be able to find the golf ball, let alone hit out of it. So very high rough. Going to lose it pretty quick if you hit it into there. But this is for the long hitters, yeah, you're going to come into play here because this is a 223-yard drive to get to the, or say 221 to get to the edge. If you're going to go 215, still got to watch it because you're getting down pretty close to it. So I'm going to say this is probably where a 3 wood is going to come into play, giving you about, say, 200 yards, keeps you in the fairway and leaving 292 yards into the green. So if we plop down there, this is where it gets interesting. If you can be aggressive, and again, speaking from experience here, I've been aggressive taking the 3 wood, not hitting it clean, and I wind up in this garbage right here. So you may want to get you something with a little bit more loft. Playing it smart, let's say 160 yards, which would be a 6 iron for me. Let's back off the dispersion on that. Putting you about 160 yards leaves you about 137 into the green. If you want to go more aggressive, and let's say, you know, I'm going to say like maybe a hybrid or 4 hybrid gets me about 180. That's going to leave me 118 into the green if you go that aggressive. Somewhere in the middle, about 170 yards would be a 5 iron. I'm going to take that as the play. That should get me over the junk here, and but keep it in the fairway pretty decent. And if we put it there, that's going to leave us that 128 yards into the green at a relative 30-foot radius dispersion. You're going to want to put it over here to the left center, leaving that's about 127 yards in. That should take the bunker out of the mix over there on the right. Taking a look at the green, everything's sloping toward the bunker. So everything is sloping from left to right. Obviously, the far right, excuse me, the far left rather, of the green is going to be the steeper slope. We're looking at 3.94, 4.7, and of course we've got higher in the sixes, even though the number's not showing up there. Higher in the 6, 7 range because of that pinkish color. Goes into not so much of a slope, 1.4 up to 2 in the at the beginning, or excuse me, at the top of the green, or the back of the green, into this collection area before we hit a very stout 8.2 that's going to more likely than not put you in the bunker. 10.9 on the far right there, those are going to be looking to put you in the bunker. So overall, again, we've got this kind of kidney bean shape, for lack of a better term, green that's going to be sloping left to right. Now moving on to hole six, par four, 381 yards. Let's get our dispersion for a driver here. If we put it at about 215, if I can hit it, there we go. Um, Pretty decent. Got a few trees here and there, but I mean this is a fairly wide fairway. If you hit a just a relatively decent shot, should be able to put it in the fairway. If we move this over to about the middle of the fairway, you can see the trees on the left may come into play depending on your dispersion. This, by the way, I believe is about 100 yard. I think it's about 100 yard dispersion from left to right, if memories, or not 100 yard, but 100 foot left to right dispersion. So 50 foot from the center on each side, if I remember correctly. And then we get to 235, say 236, going to leave you about 143 in. So if we drop our pin there, again, this is a par 4 381. So we're going to switch to our approach, leaving us probably about an 8 iron in, depending on our pin placement. And even at a 50 foot radius, pretty safe. We're looking at, you may have that. If you hit it long, you may have this pot bunker, but I mean that's 160 yards, and if you're playing toward the middle at even 143, you're going to have to get a hold of one based on club choice. Excuse me. Do have this other little bunker over here on the right side of the green, but realistically, should probably not going to come into play. So then we take a look at the green. Again, we've got some variations on this green. If we start at the back of the green, it's going to funnel down and then potentially off of the green to the left here. We've got a small collection area kind of in the middle of the top of the green or the back of the green. And then we have the larger collection area here in the bottom of the green. At the very front of the green, it's going to be sloping off of the green. But for the most part, you got a pretty good size collection area. But everything, for the most part, overall is going to be running right to left, with just a little bit of exception right here in this kind of the curve, and then the very top of the left side of the green. Hole number 7, we're looking at a par 3, 145 yards. So if you go with a wider dispersion of 50 foot, obviously we've got bunkers that's going to come into play too, guarding the front right of the green, and then you've got one on the back left of the green, and then one in the very back right of the green. But it's a fairly small bunker. So, yeah, I mean, depending on the distance and what you can hit, I mean, dispersion is going to come into play. But this we're setting at a 50 foot dispersion right now, so you're looking at roughly 25 feet in any direction from the center here, with 148 yards. Taking a look at the green, then for the most part, we're sloping left to right, with we got a 6.5, a 4, a 5.7, down into a little bit of a collection area, fairly small collection area right there on that little knob. That's on the right side of the green. On the left side of the green, everything for the most part, again, sloping left to right. We do have this collection area here on the lower part of the green. And then if you just hit barely on the green, you may be rolling off. Hole number 8 is a par four, 401 yards. So let's take a look at these bunkers. You have a small bunker at starting at 131, need 145 to carry. Then we have another bunker over here on the right at 155 and need 194, it looks like, to carry. So if you get a good shot in the middle of the green at, if I can get it in here, about two, we'll say 216. That's close enough. Pretty decent dispersion. You should be okay left to right if you go toward the center of the green, leaving us 173 yards for a second shot. If you're a longer hitter at 235, leaving you about 154 yards in, still a fairly lengthy shot. So let's kind of back this off and find a middle ground at 226 is close enough. So put our pin there. Got a lot of bunkers on the guarding the front of the green, so you're going to want to take this longer, and you've got a pretty good pretty decent shot in. I mean, we're looking at about 163 yards into roughly the center of the green, and we've got these bunkers that's coming into play here. One, two, three, four bunkers guarding the front on into the right. So if we hit about 162 to the center of the green, should be okay. Pretty safe to go long or to the left. And then let's take a look at the green. As you can see, there's the vast majority of the center of the green is going to act as a collection area with, for the most part, from the back of the green coming down, from the left of the green going right until we get a little further down, and then that's going to filter on down toward the front of the green. Um, not an incredibly steep green though. Looks like 3.4 is going to be the fastest slope on this particular green. And then the last hole of the front nine, we're looking at a par four. Some things of note here: we've got a bunker kind of tucked behind this tree here that starts at about 153 yards, and we need 180 yards to carry it. If we hit a driver on this hole and take us out to 16, as you can see, that dispersion is pretty wide. Um, Trees over on the left are coming into play, but you've got 109 yards in if you hit it at 215. Longer hitters. This bunker here is at let's say 259. If you've got that kind of driving length, but let's put it at about 230, 237, 236, 234, leaving you 89 yards in. So if we drop our pin there, go to our approach with 89, we're looking at a much smaller dispersion because that's probably a gap wedge, sand wedge maybe for some. Excuse me. Um, Pretty good. You've got this small bunker here on the front, and then you've got the bunker over on the left that may come into play. But for the most part, you've got pretty good landing area to the back and to the right that you can get the ball on the green. Then taking a look at the green, um, again, generalization, we're going to be moving from the back of the green to the front of the green for the most part. On the left side of the green, it seems to go. This is a little bit interesting, actually. From the starting on the left side of the green, the slope goes to the bottom of the green over to the right. But then if you look at the right side of the green toward the middle, it actually is going to break to the left. And then the further right you go on the green, the more to the front of the green the slope goes. As far as speed, we've got a 5.4 up here in this top section, and then we go into a 4.0 toward this bottom section of that part of the green. Otherwise, not terrible. We got a 2.2, 1.6, 2.3, 2.4. So not that steep of a green. And that takes us back to the clubhouse. So again, for the purposes of time, I will do the back nine in a separate video.